Can't make it. First off, I'm C.W.Hamilton. I'm not old school. I'm not new school. I'm middle school. Second, I was always under the impression that punk rock was made by misfits for misfits, and ever since I was far back as I remember to now, I felt like a misfit. And third, this explains some of these briefly. The first 7 posters, I just went to meet people and see bands. Posters 8 through 12 and tickets. I went to meet people, see bands, and make contacts with bands, and then we'll get into the rest after. This was the first show I went to. I wrote some books, and I got them here, but Rich of Free Club corrected me on the date. This is from '86, and in the book it says '87, so I'm wrong. I was born in Winnipeg, raised in Sherrill Park, so at this one I bust in from Sherrill Park. I was late for Wages of Sin, so I don't remember them. And Cadillac of Worms, I thought they were a riot. And a few years later I bought their cassette and all that. That's some connection. As I remember it, this show was a disaster for me. Mainly because I was getting shoved around and made fun of for being a mullet-wearing preppy and geek. So, as for Cadillac of Worms was a riot, but SNFU, I left 3 songs in and went home. And I was so disturbed by this that I went to 3 shows in Calgary. My maternal grandparents lived down in Calgary, so I went and saw Beyond Possession twice and Joker once, and I got all that stuff. And I think, at one point I thought an act of desperation saying like I had all the records. I don't think it would have mattered, because to me it seemed like I wasn't wearing the punk rock uniform, so to speak. Okay, I'm going to try and manage this. Success. Okay, so this is the next show I went to, but I went to shows before this just in Calgary. This was, I went with 2 friends from school, and I went wearing the uniform, and I was never harassed once, and I had a blast. Killing Time, I don't remember, and I was sober for this. Junior Gone Wild, I do remember Mike McDonald taking the piss out of the crowd, and like at one point he apologized for the profanity, and I thought to do that in front of 700 or however many hundred, you had to have brass balls. So the next day I went out and got their record, and I still have it. Probably because it was on BYO too. And SNFU, what can I say? They were amazing. I remember Brent taking his ESP guitar, swinging it around his whole body, and then catching it and playing it again. I thought that was impressive. So, and I still have all the LPs and stuff too, so I should have brought them, but didn't think that far ahead. And this, keep in mind I went to shows between these, but anyways, here's another one, a friend of mine, and went to high school, and we busted in from Sherrill Park again, and there were some older guys, and they were harassing us on the bus for being trendy punks, and I thought, here we go again. And for some unknown reason, I thought the poster says these guys should have played first, but SNFU played first and Goo Goo Dolls second. Ken of SNFU said, does anybody have the opening band jitters? So I almost thought he was taking the piss out of the other crowd, the other bands. Ken had they opened with Womanizer, and he had a little doll, and he started sawing it in half with a plastic chainsaw and then threw it out into the crowd. The guy I was with started cracking up, and it was like the time I went to a death metal show and shouted, play that song about death again. Everyone just went at us, and I thought, oh God, we're going to get killed, but that was all that happened. So SNFU was amazing. Ken got lots of air by jumping. I don't know how he managed to do that. And then the Goo Goo Dolls played. Surprisingly enough, they were amazing. They were hard and fast as all hell. and they were great. So my friend was up by the merch, so I went down to the can, and the lead dude of Gang Green was throwing up in the washroom stall. So I went up to my friend, told him that, and we left before Gang Green started. And so to this day, I wish I had a Goo Goo Doll shirt instead of a Gang Green one. Somebody at school, I don't know if this is true, but somebody at school said that somebody else got on stage and did vocals for Gang Green because he was so fucked up. So, yeah, anyways, that's kind of gross. Next. Oh, you. Thanks, Rylan.
Sorry, buddy.
Okay, this is really messed up now. Well, this comes later. This is 1990, and this is still in 88. Or that's 89, this is 88. So this show was the most fun I ever had at a show. Killing Time, I don't really remember again. Wicker Man, they were really good. 7 Seconds, like most of the time I was thrashing in the pit, so it was really fun. 7 Seconds, Kevin Seconds put the mic down to me and I got to sing. And that was the first time I did stage dives, and at one point the crowd parted like the Red Sea, and I fell on my back, and luckily someone there said, "You're a friend of mine," and he picked me up, so that was cool. And then I stayed in for a bit of the circle jerks, but it seemed like there were older people there, and it was just way too violent, way out of control, so I left. And I think, if I remember, Keith Morris of the Jerks, he told the crowd to calm down or they were going to stop playing. And they did. The crowd calmed down and it seemed to go pretty good. I had a lot of fun at that one. Okay. Now, Ryland's messed this up a bit.
It's not supposed to go to that one?
No. Well, we'll jump ahead. I'm sure the other poster will show up.
Eventually. Why don't you just click the arrow once?
Yeah, let's just see.
Because this could happen again.
No.
Maybe it's just not.
Oh, there it is. There we go. No, I did that one. Well, anyways, we'll roll with it.
Sorry, buddy.
Believe it or not, after this show, this was SNFU on September something or other, 1988, did their first last show ever. I don't remember anyone else opening besides Tippy at Go Go, and I got photos and I made a bootleg of SNFU's whole show, and I don't have it anymore. But Tippy was great, he was awesome. I went with a whole bunch of friends, and I still have the pictures from that, which I have one of them in my books. At one point I came out of the pit and I went to the back to rest, and a friend of mine said, "You're bleeding and your shirt's torn." And I had a small cut about that big, but it was deep, so I don't know if somebody brought a penknife in or a large stud cut me, but I didn't feel it because the adrenaline. So you don't see that poster, but we'll pretend it's right here. Then this is the second time I saw No Means No. It was 1989. Jennifer, if you could get the No Means No show from Paul or Yardley Jones at Garneau Hall, now it's called City Arts Center, I would love you and Paul forever. I would pay money for it too. That was a fun show. Pardon?
Did you say get the gay poster?
Yeah, or not the actual poster, like even a reproduction, because I lost all my 11th by 17 posters. Okay, so I was at a U of A show before this at Mark Horowitz. It was 5440, I like them. And I came here, I missed most of Bone Club, but I still like them a bit. And so much I bought a cassette off of them. And then No Means No played. They didn't disappoint me. And they never have. They opened with Long Days, which I thought was a strange song to open with because it's so mellow and plodding. But, and this was only the second No Minor show I went to. The first one was God, and I don't remember anybody else because I was pretty hammered. And that one was at the Ambassador, and I don't have the poster. And I remember Ford Pierre doing some acrobatics or something with, I was drunk. Anyways, they did do a cover of Helter Skelter, and Ford and Spider had made a brochures, and I had it somewhere, and it said, at that point, Michael Jackson bought all the rights to the Beatles music. So Ford put in the brochure that Michael Jackson stole this from the Beatles. We're stealing it back for Bono, or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, so yeah. Again, this was '89, and No Means No was doing their Wrong tour. So I bought the LP and umpteen dozen shirts. I remember Marty of Euthanasia, Wickerman, sitting behind John Wright, just in awe of John Wright's drumming. So that was neat. Okay, let's see if this is in the right order, Ryland.
Oh, geez.
Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is the fanboy in me. I got this framed. But this was the third No Minor show I went to. It was minus 30 degrees, and I made a bootleg of this show, but somehow got ruined the night of. DOA was amazing, and I had no problems at this show. All these shows after, you know, the first one I bitched and moaned about, I didn't have problems with. DOA was unreal. There was John Hart on drums, Chris Prohm on guitar, Brian Goebel, rest in peace, on bass, and Joey Shithead on vocals and guitar. I don't think the Metro was a punk rock club because they didn't know anything about DOA, and the sound guys, Hutch, I think, was the sound man at this time. He said, "Okay, Shithead, play your guitar." And the guy at the bar started laughing his ass off, and then all of DOA just did that again, and he just sort of went, ha ha ha, went back to cleaning bottles. Yeah, anyways, that was really fun. Okay, so prior to this, I was like a fanboy, just going to meet people and see bands. This one, I started meeting people, seeing bands, and making contacts with bands because I had a plan. This was 1990. Bob Froder did the poster. And Ship of Fools changed their name to Wheat Chiefs. And I had seen Ninth Configuration open up for SNFU a couple times before at the Multi-Purpose Rumpus Room. I think those were Cam Noise shows, but I could be wrong. And so anyways, a friend's band was having trouble getting shows. So I thought, well, I'll do a show. It doesn't seem hard. I know I'm only 19, but I'll do it. And so I introduced myself to Mark and Brent Balke of Ship of Fools, Wheat Chiefs, and told them my plan, and they didn't think I was nuts, and they gave me their numbers, and I gave me theirs. So anyways, there we go. So that's contacts number 1. Success. I had seen Wickerman a bunch of times before, and even though I had a Euthanasia t-shirt and records and tape, I'd never seen Euthanasia. So this was the first time, and when I heard the Smalls were opening, I wanted to go late, because I had seen them at the Ambassador before, and they were a 5-piece, and they're fucking awful. So, sorry guys, if it's still recording.
It is.
Yeah, they were just terrible, but my friend said, no, they're really good now. And I saw them, and they were a 4-piece. I don't know who left or whatever, but they were really good. So, I remember Euthanasia pretty much doing their whole set, and even doing covers of Stooges' TBI and Led Zeppelin's Dazed and Confused, which I thought that was kind of neat for sort of a punk band doing Dazed and Confused. So after I introduced myself to Marty of Euthanasia, and I liked the Smalls so much, just thinking ahead to shows, I introduced myself to the Smalls and said that, how would you like to open for Ship of Fools, Wheat Chiefs at a show, Hall show? And they said yes, so we exchanged numbers for a later date. That's contacts number 2. Okay, here's this one. It's at the Bronx. If memory serves me, this was the first. There was lots of benefit shows before, but this was the first one I went to. And I'd seen the Imagineers a bunch of times and had their 2 cassettes and a t-shirt. And I took a bunch of photos of all the bands. And I wish I knew the name of the drummer of One Soul Down, because I got the best shot of him the whole night. I can't remember his name. I think Andrew Bez, his older brother, played bass in this one. So, Zane? I don't know, I can't remember the drummer's name. Anyways, so Kelly at Pop Crisis went on to Minstrels of Speed, and the rest is history. I still have Pop Crisis's cassette, and they wrote a song called Why I Want to Work at Earl's. And it was great. I remember requesting it and Kelly telling me to shut the fuck up. I thought it was the other woman, but Kelly corrected me, it was me, so her. So again, I made more contacts. I finally got up the fanboy courage to introduce myself to the Imagineers, and I'm still friends with, we exchanged numbers, and I'm still friends with 2 of the 3 of them to this day. I don't know what happened to the other guy. So, hopefully he's fine. Okay, this one's a little wide, but
Sorry.
yeah. So the last show was Contacts 3. This is Contacts 4. I'd seen Forbidden Dimension in Calgary a bunch of times, and I thought that, again, thinking ahead, I may need a backup to headlining act in case Mark and Brent of Ship of Fools, We Chiefs had to cancel for the date I had. So I introduced, and Jongleur, I was friends with them, and they wanted the shows. They were the friends who wanted the shows. So I introduced myself to Tom. We exchanged numbers, and for a later date. I was taking pictures this night, and I only got pictures of Jongleurs before an older lady at the Ambassador told me photos weren't allowed, so I'd have to stop it, or I would leave. Or I would have to leave. So I only got Jongleur, unfortunately, just Jongleur. Okay, this was, okay, here we go. This one, again, I took photos all night, and I was at the Ambassador again, so I don't know what changed in between the months. But again, you can see I was addicted to the Imagineers. So, but the loved one I'd never seen before. They had members from Euthanasia and Kelly from Cadillac of Worms. And I still have my loved one cassette, CD, and T-shirt, and all my Imagineers stuff. So again, I was thinking ahead. So I thought, okay, I need a backup to the Smalls in case they couldn't play. So I approached Kelly and the Bodie brothers, and we exchanged numbers. So, and for a later date. Again, it was kind of neat because here I am, like 19 and probably pimply faced, and they gave me their numbers without, you know, that's cool. I thought it was neat. So. Okay. And this is my first show I put on. 1990. I did the artwork, that's why it's shitty. The hall seemed full to me. Somewhere I got a videotape of the time lapse of everyone setting up. So the show went off without a hitch. I didn't want people to know I was the promoter, so I dress up in a hockey jersey and do the door. So, and it worked every time. It went off without a hitch, except one guy brought alcohol in, and he was getting drunk, and you can't have alcohol at all ages shows, or else the police will come, or the liquor board will come, and they'll shut you down, and then I'll get fined. So I was showing him the door, and he kicked me in the crotch, bit my arm, drew blood, and ripped my favorite 7 Seconds t-shirt. So I kicked him in the crotch and threw him out on the pavement. He tried to come back in again. So from the security guy said, I'll handle this. He threw him head first into the pavement and told him to clean up. He tried to come back in a third time. This time he apologized to me, and I never had another problem with him at that show or any other show. So it wasn't me, it was the other guy. I can't claim victory on that one. This one is here to brag, sort of. I was there, and I met up with Brent Margalke, and Ford Pier. And I thought that Zero Tolerance were awful. Sorry guys, if it's still filming.
It is.
And Nirvana put on a good show, but Kurt Cobain came off as a royal asshole. He would like stop songs in the middle, light a smoke, put it in his tuning pegs, and then start, I think that's what they're called at the guitar, you know, the strings, they put it in the strings and then it'd keep on lighting, and then he'd start the songs back up again. And I was a huge fanboy of Nirvana. I had like 2 7-inches and Bleach and stuff. And I was such a geek, I bought the ticket like months in advance because I thought it would sell out. And there was only about 100 people there. Okay. So anyways, I was going to meet the fanboy. I was all shaking and I wanted to talk to Kurt Cobain. And somebody was in front of me and he said, you know, this guy who was in front of me, I just came here to drink and play pool, and you guys were amazing. I'm going to go out and buy your records. Kurt Cobain tore a strip off and said, yeah, I don't believe you. Just, you're wasting my time, go away. And the guy sort of went, and I did a beeline for Chris Novoselic and talked to him, and I talked to their roadie. I remember saying to the roadie, I heard you got signed to Geffen Records for $350,000. And he said, yeah, we did, but we haven't seen a penny. And I wanted to talk to Dave Grohl too, because I was a fan of Scream. They played here once, didn't they? Yeah, he was drummer in Scream first, and but he was too busy tearing down his drums for a fanboy. So ironically enough, years later I met the guy who got his head torn off by Kurt Cobain. He worked at Greenwoods for many years, and I said, aren't you the guy? He said, yeah, you saw me there. And so we'd make fun of each other about that. So this was my second show, and Tom Bagley of Forbidden Dimension did the artwork, so that's why it's good. So again, this is my friend's band, and then The Loved One, and Forbidden Dimension. So this one, it seemed to go without a hitch. It was pretty full, not as full as the Wheat Chiefs and the Smalls. But again, fights started breaking out. I think Tom of Forbidden Dimension stopped the crowd, stopped the show and said, if you're going to knock it off, we're going to leave. And it seemed to clean up. So, I'm not sure, this was the last time I did a show with Jongleur, which I don't know why, because I was on their, I did shitty backing vocals on their third cassette, and that was a year or two after this, so beats me. Okay, this refers to this one, in that Jesus Lizard, soon after Nirvana blew up, they got signed to a major label like Tad and Mudhoney, and they never went anywhere. They never sold millions of records and became a household name. So, and in my opinion, Jesus Lizard was better than Nirvana, and they had more consistency, and they're way more approachable, like even David Yao. I remember David Yao taking out his testicles and hitting the microphone saying, these are the backing vocalists. So I don't remember the Jellyfish Babies. So, okay, that's it. We can move to the next one. So, and that sort of puts in perspective, you know, how Nirvana, one could say, ruined everything. Not necessarily ruined it, but the major labels latched onto them, and then that ruined everything. So, Sonic Youth ruined everything. And I love Sonic Youth. Sorry, guys and girls. This was my first all ages show, and here's the fanboy in me. I got Tom to sign it, and it's framed on my wall. This was easy because I just got All Women's Brothers Band and Show Business Giants, the show at RAT, and then the promoter did everything else. I postered it, and that was it. It was easy and it was fun. And so Skin Barn and Furnace Maintenance hired me to create a poster for this show, and this is what I came up with. I also did some of the running around putting up the posters too. 2 days before the show and late one night, Kevin Shalacombe of Furnace Maintenance called me at home and told me that I had better get down to the Women's Law Building on the U of A campus.
He wouldn't tell me why, and I had never been to that part of the campus before. My first girlfriend was taking women's studies near there, so she came with me to show me the way there. When we arrived, we were horrified to see a response poster on the bulletin board wall created by somebody. Literally, I was very nearly in tears and shaking so much I couldn't remove the poster. My girlfriend had to take it down for me, and she showed me to the lounge. I asked her to leave me alone for a half hour. This poster is what I came up with in that half hour, and I plastered it all over the city. I still stand behind my poster and my response to their poster. But consequently, I never did the artwork for any of my shows that I put on, or any of my art shows that I was booked to display at for 8 years. This is the poster that I did for the Tar show at the Tap Room on Tuesday, March 24th, 1992. And here's the poster that was done by the promoter for the Tap Room of the show on Tuesday, March 24th for Tar. It was considerably toned down than mine. It was a great show, and I remember Tar doing a sound check with feathers all over the dance floor. Apparently this was a strip club during the day. Tar is one of the top 4 tightest bands that I have ever seen, and I still own all of their music too. So this was supposed to be my second last show, but ended up being my last show that I put on. This was No Means No's first tour of Canada with Tom Holston as a full-fledged member of the band. Andy Kerr had left sometime in about 1992. At my show, Tom gave me a t-shirt and a CD of their current album, The Worldhood of the World Is Such. And I still have them both. This was the best show that I put on because for the most part it went pretty smooth. At one point, a young mother started screaming at me that her son always wanted to do a stage dive, and she was pissed off that I didn't allow stage dives at my show. I told her that if she was willing to pay for damages that her son may cause when he was up there, then he can do stage dives. She stormed off fuming. At the end of the show, Rob Wright and I counted the money in a broom closet with one light bulb over our heads. Rob liked the works so much I did that he paid me an extra $100. According to Rob, there were just over 700 paying fans, and I remember having 50 volunteers and guests there to work and do security. So this show was supposed to be my last show, but it ended up being cancelled because Jello was involved in some sort of accident and one of his legs was broken. I had everything done and had the posters up and tickets for sale when I got the call from Alternative Tentacles that the whole tour was cancelled. So the No Means No show ended up being my last show. I remember putting on a few shows at the City Media Club with the likes of Forbidden Dimension, Paljoy, Huevos Rancheros, and there was a Tank Hog with Minstrels on Speed opening up, but that one got cancelled too. I also put on separate shows for the Smalls and Wheat Chiefs again, just each of them headlining their own show. I think I secured the lights for the Bunch of Fucking Goof show too, but I can't remember. Anyways, regardless, I was somehow involved in that one. I left early because I never liked that band, and I still don't like them. Unfortunately, some of my posters for my shows are missing, as well as all of my posters for my shows after Jello by Offer are missing too.